Now that I'm finished going through my LP collection, I had toyed with going through my collection of CDs and even talking through what I love on Spotify. And I thought, oh, don't flatter yourself. I don't know that anybody wants to hear that much more. I have a lot more CDs than I ever had of LPs. So as I exercised earlier today, I had an idea. Why don't I just share what I've exercised to that day and maybe throw in a couple of others that are either classics or are CDs that have particular stories tied to them. So here goes. I'm just going to give that a try. So earlier today, as I got ready to exercise, I thought I wanted to listen to something with some pop, something upbeat, something clever, something a little different. And as I was scrolling through my library, I came across Madness. If you grew up in the 80s, you might remember Madness for the songs One Step Beyond and Our House. Both great songs, but I have to admit they always sounded more like novelty tunes to me than music from a serious group. But about 12 or 15 years ago, I was flipping through CDs at the local library, and I came across greatest hits of Madness called Total Madness. And those two songs were both on there, and I thought, oh, why not? It doesn't cost anything. I'll give it a listen. Well, I was pleasantly surprised. They have great music. I really enjoy their sound. I think they've been labeled as a ska band, you know, the horns and the beats and all that. That's fine, but I would say if you like one Madness song, you'll probably like all of them. I love the guy's voice. I love his accent, that he maintains his Britishness as he sings. I love that he doesn't over sing. I think there are a lot of people who are out to prove what great singers they are, and sometimes the song suffers because of it. By the end of it, all you can remember is that this person has an amazing voice, but the song itself doesn't really get the credit it deserves. So a band like Madness are fun because the singer does his job, and he does it in a distinctive way, but he doesn't overdo it. He could, I think. He's got a nice voice. But anyway, great tunes on Total Madness. They're greatest hits that I got 12, 15 years ago. But the one I listened to today is their latest called Can't Touch Us Now. And again, I think if you like one Madness song, you'll like a whole album. It's a great album. It still has their same sound. I love the guy's voice, the way he sings, because it really is sort of a hushed conversational tone. Again, he's not trying to blast you with anything, but just a great upbeat band, great sound, and I would highly recommend a foray into the catalog of Madness. I also was thinking about one of the musical milestones in my life, a significant turning point in my life. Happened back in the early 90s. I was in Streetside Records on Rainbow, and I think I was ordained a priest by then. I can't remember for sure. But as I was browsing through the music, I saw the listening station they had there. You might recall those. They would pick 8 or 10 new releases and have headphones there that you could go up and listen to samples of the songs, at least, maybe the whole thing if you wanted to. But I went up to the listening station, and there was Nirvana, Nevermind. It had just come out, and Pixies, Trompe la Monde. And I had never listened to much of the Pixies. I had a story of being blasted out of a record store by a snarky employee once years ago, but I thought I'd give them another try. So I listened to Trompe la Monde, and it was maybe the maturity of my ears that for some reason I just loved it. It's sort of a punk sound, but it also had a pop sound, and it had that soft, loud, soft dynamic that became so famous in the 90s. So I thought, gosh, I'm going to buy this. Well, then I listened to Nirvana, Nevermind, and as I read a little bit about them, it said that they were heavily influenced by the Pixies and the Breeders, another band that was formed out of some of the Pixies. And I love the sound of Nevermind. You really couldn't resist it if you were alive then. A great song structure, but drenched in feedback and howling vocals. just the pounding drums of Dave Grohl and good bass. It's funny, that night I bought both of those albums, and the Pixies influenced Nirvana. I think was no accident that they had them there together, but it was a real shift in taste for me. You might have watched my LP reviews, and I had a lot of synth pop, mostly alternative pop, not the stuff that was all over the radio necessarily. Some pop and some rock from the 70s and 80s. I like considering myself an omnivore, but that was a turning point for me of embracing more guitar-based music. So I credit the Pixies and Nirvana and that night in Streetside Records for being a real turning point in my life. Both of those albums in my collection are classic. Nevermind, of course, is considered a classic by most standards. Maybe Trompe Le Monde isn't the best Pixies album, but it was my introduction to them. I now own their whole catalog and love their music. So that's where I was at today musically. It's just fun to share.